Hello, fellow duelists. This is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm with my lovely wife, Dolphy Suki, and today we're actually going to be doing a special kind of deck profile. I haven't ever done this on the channel before, and I wanted to showcase it. So I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my Synchron deck. So this is going to be a little different. This isn't a Stardust deck, so if you were hoping for a Stardust deck, then you may have to click on another video, because me and my wife actually like Stardust, and we may be planning on actually having an actual Stardust deck separately, but we wanted to make a Synchron deck because this was a favorite archetype from both of us. We both were really big into 5Ds when it was out. She actually got me into 5Ds, and when this structure deck came out with the Synchron cards, junk cards, I was so excited. We bought 3, we had a deck, and for the longest time we actually didn't update it. Well, now we actually could say we have an excuse to update it with all the new support that came out this year. So I'm really excited, because this is a deck that both of us kind of means a lot to both of us. It kind of symbolizes, you know, our love for the game, and all in all, it's just a really fun deck. So if you have any comments, you can post them in the comment section below, but please try to be, you know, nice about it and everything. This isn't going to be meta at all. This isn't meant to be like, oh, take this to a tournament, I'm going to get 5-0 for going to a tournament for this. This is just meant to have it'd be a fun deck and a casual deck that if you wanted to build, it'd be something that you could easily do. So without any further ado, without me rambling, let's move on to the deck profile. So first off, we've got 3 copies of Quick Draw Synchron, and honey, if you wouldn't mind, can you start putting the cards down for me to make it a little bit easier?
Yes,
so
I can do that.
So Quick Draw Synchron is probably one of the best cards in here because it counts as a Synchron, or it counts as any material for it. So you basically special summon this card by discarding a card for a monster card from hand of the graveyard, and a Synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any Synchro tuner. Cannot be used as Synchro 2 except for the Synchro of a monster that lists Synchron. So basically, I know that's a lot of words to actually put together, but basically it just means that this copies and makes it anything. It can be for a Synchron summon, anything that's a warrior card that's called like Synchron Warrior or whatever, any of that, it counts as a substitute for that card.
He's also really cute, and he's a special summon.
Yes, he is. I actually really like the design of him. Next is Junk Warrior, which Junk Warrior is...
Oh, you want me to put them down?
Yes, that's usually what I do. If I know what the card does, I usually sit right where you're at right now. So Junk Synchron is actually good because it works with, if you normal summon this card, you can special summon a level 2 or lower monster from your graveyard, meaning Quillbolt Hedgehog, mainly what you're going to be using it for. Also, you can also use that to synchro summon a Synchron monster that is going to be in your graveyard that is level 2 or lower, and it really, really helps you synchro climb, because this deck is all about synchro climbing. The whole purpose of this deck is to just keep going and going and going until you get to that Stardust Warrior. Next, 3 copies of Junk Forward, because Junk Forward is a great extender. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. So it makes it to level 3, very good to synchro climb, and just all in all, a very, very good card. Next, we have 3 copies of the Satellite Synchron. Satellite Synchron is such an adorable little guy. If a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, so it also works in conjunction with Junk Synchron. And you can special summon from your hand. If you have a Synchro monster with a Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust in its original name, you can make this card's level becomes 4 until the end of the turn. So he modifies his level, making himself to where you can make a level 8, level 9, level 10, whatever you want. Very, very, very good and useful in this deck. And then 1 copy of the Jet Synchron, because it is sadly limited to 1. Jet Synchron, basically, if your card is sent to the graveyard as a Synchro material, you can add a junk monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. So it is a great level 1 tuner. Good to be able to get in there. And then 2 junk converters. We're only going to be running 2 junk converters because it kind of works with the deck just for us. This is personal player preference, so if you don't like it, you don't have to run this. You can run 3, whatever you want. But as it is right now, me and her prefer using junk converter at 2. So you can discard this card to add a tuner monster, or discard this card and a tuner to add a Synchro monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you can target a tuner monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, but it cannot activate its effect, and you only use its effect once per turn. So this is going to help you go into your bigger plays by being able to special summon monsters from the graveyard. And then you have 2 Synchron carriers. So Synchron carrier, you can normal summon 1 Synchro monster in addition to your normal summoner set, obviously, and then once per turn, if another Synchro monster is sent to the graveyard, you can, is material for the Synchro summon of a Warrior Machine Synchro monster. While you control this card, you can special summon a Synchron token with 1000 attack, defense 0, and use the effect. So that's very good to being able to get those tokens out for you. And then 2 of Doppel Warriors. When a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand.
This
Or
has to be the
especially-
least cute card in the deck.
Yes, I know, sadly. Unfortunately, he does work with the deck, and he is searchable using reinforcement, but yes, I do totally agree with you on that. I think he looks kind of silly, but... So you special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can special summon 2 Doppler tokens, and those Doppler tokens will help you synchro climb.
This is the cutest card in the deck.
Ah, Cobalt Hedgehog, a classic. So if any Yu-Gi-Oh fans, even if you've only ever watched a 5Ds anime, I'm there, you know by now, Yusei Fudo normal summons Junk Warrior and then special summons Cobalt Hedgehog from the graveyard and then goes into Stardust, or goes into Junk Warrior, so... Alright, so that's going to be it for the monsters. Now let's move on to the spells. So first off, 3 Starlight Junctions. You tribute a tuner monster to special summon a synchron monster from your deck with a different level. And... bleh. Monsters, during your opponent's turn, if you special summon a synchro monster from your extra deck, target a card on the field, shuffle it into the deck. So this will help you swap out your tuners and also will help get rid of cards on your opponent's field. And then 3 tuning. So obviously you got a synchron tuner monster from your deck to your hand, and then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, which can work really, really well. 3 copies of the Synchro Overtake. This was reprinted in the new tins. So reveal a synchro monster from your extra deck. Choose one of the synchro materials mentioned on and add it to your hand. And then special summon that monster from your deck or graveyard. Also, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. This turn, you activate this card except synchro monsters. You can only activate 1 synchron overtake per turn. Getting tongue-tied reading some of these. Keep in
That's
mind,
a lot of decks.
Keep in mind, me and her have not played with this deck in a very, very, very long
It
time.
kind of was backburned and forgotten on the shelf since we weren't upgrading it and we were focusing on our main decks. So.
And I think what got us into it was after they started coming out with cheaper versions of it and stuff that was reprinted. I was like, you know what, we need to update this like old smelly deck. So Synchron Blast Wave, this is just a cute tech card. You don't have to play this. Activate when your opponent controls a face-up synchro monster. Destroy one monster your opponent controls. I just thought it was a cute little way to destroy monsters. Obviously, your 2 MSTs and your your Harpy's Feather Duster, because these are going to be your backfield destruction. You've got 1 Call by the Grave. You've got 1 Upstart Goblin for draw, because 39 is better than 40. Change of Heart, so you can take your opponent's monster, Monster Reborn, and Terraforming 1 copy. And then 2 copies of Reinforcement of the Army, which will add a level 4 lower warrior type monster from your deck to your hand, obviously, and then Foolish Burial to put those monsters into the graveyard. And then finally for the traps, we have Metaverse, which is literally just activate a field spell directly from your deck on your opponent's turn.
Which is really good.
Yeah, it actually is. I wish you could have more of these in there. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on to the extra deck. So a bunch of synchros this time. So obviously the big boss monster, Stardust Warrior. So Stardust Warrior, during either player's turn, if your opponent would special summon a monster, you can tribute this card, negate the activation if you destroy the monster. During the end phase, if this effect was activated, you can special summon this card back from your graveyard. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if a face-up card you control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon a level 8 or lower warrior synchro monster from your extra deck. So very useful, very great way to be able to negate your opponent's effect, and also to be able to go into a lot of your other warrior monsters that you have in the deck. And then we have Stardust Assault Warrior. This is going to be replaced with Junk Speeder. We are planning on it. I just needed a space for it because since it was going to be a replacement. So when this card is synchro summoned, when you control no other monsters, you can target a junk monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can only activate the effect of it once per turn. If this card attacks defense position monster, it does piercing damage. And then we have Stardust Dragon, one of the most iconic card and probably the only Stardust card that we're going to be having in this deck. So obviously you know what Stardust Dragon is. Your opponent activates a card or effect, or activates a spell trap or effect. Tribute the card to negate it, and then it comes back. And then we have 1 Satellite Warrior. Satellite Warrior, great tech card. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target card your opponent controls up to the number of synchro monsters in your graveyard. Destroy this card, and if you do, this card gains 1,000 attack for each card destroyed. If this synchro summon card is destroyed, you can special summon a level 3. You can special summon up to 3 level 8 or low warrior synchron and or Stardust synchro monsters from different names from your graveyard. And then 1 Nitro Warrior. Nitro Warrior is just a classic card, and I wanted to put this in here because it is such an iconic card. Basically,
Look at that butt.
Yes, he has a very chubby butt, very fuel-induced butt. I'm glad we don't have to use that stupid Nitro Synchron for it, because that thing was kind of bad. Once per turn during your turns, if you activate a spell card, this card gains 1,000 attack, and then it also does, when it destroys a monster by battle, you can change 1 face-up defense position monster your opponent controls, attack it, and then attack it again. And then we have Jet Warrior. Jet Warrior is This card is synchro summoned. You can target one card in your opponent controls or turn to the hand. If the card is in your graveyard, you contribute a level 2 or lower monster, special summon this card in defense position, but then banish it. And then the classic, iconic, it's even from the 5D starter deck. That's why we still have it in here. Junk Warrior. So it gains attack equal to the total attack of all the level 2 or lower monsters on the field. And then we have Junk Archer, which is a great way to banish cards from your opponent on your opponent's side of the field. Junk Berserker, which is really good, that destroys face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses attack equal to the banished monster. And then at the start of the damage step, this card attacks a defensive position monster, automatically destroys that card. Junk Warrior, 2 copies of these.
This one's my favorite.
Yes, because I actually like it because it's ultra rare. She loves ultra rares. I actually really love ultra rares and secret rares and ghost rares when we can get ghost rares. So when this card is synchro summoned, you can select and destroy the cards on the field up to the number of non-tuner monsters. Use the synchro material for this card. And then 1 junk converter or junk connector. If you wanted 2, you could put 2 in the deck if you wanted to. So 2 effect monsters, which obviously includes warrior and or machine, including a tuner. Once per turn you're in the main or battle phase, you can quick effect immediately after this effect resolves. Synchro summon a synchro monster using only materials this card points to. If this is link summoned, you control is destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon 1 junk synchro monster from your extra deck that is traded as a synchro summon. And then Excel Synchron, obviously he's going to be used as a tuner and also to modify his level. And then Vermilion Dragon Mech. This is just a great tech card. Since you are running so many tuner monsters, this just starts popping cards on the field, depending on how many tuners you have in your graveyard. And then lastly, just Decode Talker, because we thought it would be cute. And it does work with the deck because it is, a quick link. So it gains 500 attack for each monster it points to. When your opponent activates a card or effect, targets a card you control, you contribute a monster this card points to negate the activation if you do destroy that card.
It is a good negate.
No, it is actually a good negate. It does. I mean, I know obviously it's no access code talker, but those cards are about $100 a piece.
If it's ever released.
If it ever is. I don't even know if it ever will be at this point. But that's going to be it for this deck profile. Hope you enjoyed it. This is just a very, very fun deck. Both of us really love the Synchron archetype. And I wish, that this got more recognition. Sadly, it doesn't, because most people aren't going to be playing with Coalbolts. Most people aren't going to be playing this. Most people will just play with the Stardust. But I actually, like I said, don't really.
Maybe a separate deck.
Maybe a separate deck. But I actually kind of like having the Synchron deck, the Junk deck, because it's kind of very iconic. Anybody who knows 5Ds, it's like, what do you know about 5Ds? Oh, I remember Stardust Dragon and like Junk Warrior and stuff. So... Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, personal player preference, so please don't post any bad negative comments just because you don't like something. Everybody has their own preference, and I always try saying that on this channel, because on this channel it's just meant to have fun, and regardless of having so-called meta decks, we just have fun with these decks. So, alright, so that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and with that, see you guys next time. Bye!